Hello, good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Just a second, Rory, you got your video.
There we go.
Hey, smiley face. Thanks. Brilliant. Thank you very much. Right, on with the show. Sorry about that, guys. Always a slight technical. It's not fun unless it's a bit tricky or challenging in some way. Right, thank you very much for joining us on our spring webinar series. And I have joining me with me now, Rory Groves. So Rory, do you want to just quickly introduce yourself and let us know who you are?
Yeah, so as Adam just said before, my name's Rory. I've been with Force now it's actually coming up 4 years now.
Wow.
I know, it's flown by, and it's crazy to see how much the business has kind of moved on and what we've gone through. And yeah, it's absolutely crazy. But yeah, I'm the marketing manager for Force 24. Work a lot in conjunction with the sales team, sort of generating leads, hosting beautiful webinars like this, events, bits like that, kind of all things to help sort of generate leads and kind of get out there the beauty of marketing automation and the power that Force 24 can bring to people.
Brilliant. Well said, Rory. Well, look, I mean, I think it's particularly pertinent because firstly, you've always been behind the scenes on all the webinars that I do. And I think getting you in front of the camera certainly on these particular topics, it's pertinent because you're in a fairly unique position in that you work for a marketing automation platform. You've got all the tech at your fingertips, but hold on a second. You can't see him.
Yeah, no, Rory.
Oh, I can see you, Rory.
I can see me.
Anyway.
I've not got my beautiful face, unfortunately.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll survive without looking at you, Rory. You just enjoy basking my glory. So no, it's great having you in here because it's this particular topic that we're talking about is something that obviously you've been encountered, and everybody on this webinar everybody's been impacted in some way by this iOS 15 debacle. And we wanted to just share with you the things that we've done, the observations from a technical perspective, and what you guys as marketeers can do. But as with all of our webinars, this isn't stuffy. It's get on with your work, watch us if you want, interact with us in the chat if you want, and we'll keep it fun and lighthearted, and we'll get you on your way as soon as we finish talking. It's as simple as that. So let's have a quick intro to Force 24, standard procedure. So Force 24 is a marketing automation platform. We were founded in 2010. We're a UK-based automation platform. We support about 5,000 UK marketeers at the moment, logging. It's more than that, actually. It's probably about 6,000 now. UK marketeers right now, helping them be more effective in their job. And our point of difference is that we offer free training and support for life on a 2-minute SLA. We know that marketeers right now are blessed with technology. We know we have access to all the buttons in the world, but sometimes getting that support and help on actually when to press the buttons and how to press the buttons and the best way to press the buttons is what it's all about. And that's where Force 24 comes in. We're probably the UK's fastest growing automation platform at the moment. So it's a positive, good news story. So this webinar sits in line with a lot of things that we do for our customers, and some of you are our customers. And we just wanted to share our thoughts on it. So go on, Rory, over to you.
Well, yeah, I think this is a really interesting topic, and obviously it's one that a lot of people, a lot of marketers are talking about at the minute. There's a bit of panic sort of about, and I think a good sort of introduction to this is the kind of the main argument of, I'd say, sort of privacy versus personalization, and I think people want both in sort of today's sort of day. Everyone's very concerned. There's a lot of stories about, Google sort of tracking too much of like what you do and your life and stuff like that. And people want that sort of they want the privacy. They don't want to be tracked. They don't want everyone to know what they're doing, but they also want the personalization. They want to log on, and if it's ads, email, stuff like that, they want stuff that's targeted to them, because it makes their experience, because ads are everywhere nowadays, aren't they?
Yeah. And I saw this. I mean, everybody thinks that, for example, Google's a public service.
Yeah.
The average consumer thinks that Google's a public service that somehow the government pay for or something like that. And the average, I can't remember how much it was now, but I did see a statistic that said that the average browser of Google is worth about 200 quid a year. Yeah. And what you're essentially saying when we're talking about tracking of ads and tracking of personal data is, look, I'm using this service in exchange for access to my data, right?
Yeah.
And you've got a choice. You could say Google, for example, was it 800 quid or 200 quid a year? I can't remember what it's worth. But if somebody said to me, you've now got to have a Google subscription, I'd firstly say, right, number one, I want ads because I go to Google to buy stuff, and I know this isn't necessarily what we're talking about right now. We're talking about the whole sort of mentality of tracking, aren't we? And I want to go there. And I certainly wouldn't pay 200 quid out of my own pocket to go and do this. So we've got, as consumers, almost a bit of a responsibility to say, look, it's okay, be responsible. But Apple's move in this particular instance, I don't think personally was the right thing. I don't think it's a big deal, if I'm absolutely honest with you. We'll get onto that in a moment. But, what Apple are essentially doing with this latest iOS 15 is they've said, look, we're going to lie.
Yeah.
We're going to lie. We're going to basically any email you send us, we're going to open it. We're going to click some links and we're going to basically forge the engagement with our recipients and pretend they've opened it when they haven't. And that means that you can't track anybody. So what they're actually doing is not hiding the information, because you can't. If you're requesting images from our server, we can track the open. You're clicking a link, we can track that click. But what we can't do is necessarily, distinguish between the fake and the real. That's what Apple have specifically set out to do, is I'm going to make this very difficult for you. Personally, my view would have been Apple would have been better served investing more money in the Bimini accreditation. I can't remember exactly. I'll have to get back to you on that one.
Yeah.
Basically certification for marketeers to send emails and actually spend more money on the processing of those spam emails, more money on inbox filtering, more money on sophisticated AI, just like Microsoft and Google have done to protect your inboxes. So that's basically saying, just like SEO, look, it's not the Wild West out there. You need to be able to be, you need to be able to connect with your audience, and but it should be down to the audience to connect and the audience, and the AI to say, no, that's a load of rubbish. That's a load of junk. Nobody's engaging with it. Stick it in the spam folder. But fundamentally lying is the bit that I've got a slight issue with. And I think that's a little bit, I don't think it was the right strategy for Apple. Nevertheless, it's a strategy. They did it. It is what it is. So let's move on.
So let's actually go to the basics here. So what has actually happened in iOS 15? What is this mail privacy protection? What's really happened, and how is it affecting marketers?
Okay, so in short, MPP basically says what we're going to do is we're going to provide protection to our users by blocking the transmission of IP addresses. Fine, I don't care about that. And they specifically say that they're doing it to prevent geolocation. Fine. Again, most email marketing platforms don't really care. So when we send you an email, where you're located and which IP you're transmitting back to us on doesn't matter too much to us, because we work on hard facts. IP tracking industries may well be affected by this, but you know what? This is not necessarily the world that we live in. We deal in known quantities. So MPP, essentially, when we send an email into an Apple mailbox, they said what we're going to do is we're going to open that email. And by opening an email, just so that you're all clear, when the images are requested from the server, now Apple's iOS devices and the native mail client automatically downloads images for you, doesn't it? When you open your iPhone and you select your mail app, the images are there. Whereas Outlook, for example, Microsoft platforms, they request that you download those images. And so it's the point in which those images are requested that the open is registered. And so what they're doing is they're saying, look, we're just going to pretend everyone's opened. And what's then happened is, and I'm sure everybody out there will have seen this, they'll have seen that their open rates have gone up, but their click rates haven't followed. So platforms like ours, we can suppress clicks. Opens are almost impossible to suppress. Clicks are different because clicks terminate at the website. So you click an email, you arrive at the website. So we can put some assurances in there to say that was a real human being based on the web tracking script. So that's cool. But an open, we've got no idea. It's impossible to tell. So, and that's why they've done it, really. So your open rates probably look a lot better than what they actually are. I mean, Rory, you've seen this, right? We get insane open rates. We're like 80% on times. It's like, whoa, that's because we're awesome.
Yeah.
Right.
Of course.
The pleasant lie. We all like a pleasant lie.
Yeah, of course. No, it is one of those things. And obviously you look at the open rates and it is very deceiving, because you suddenly think, your open rates are shot up, but if your click rates are the same, that's the thing that's not changing. So you do get slightly suspicious, even if you had no idea what iOS 15 was, MPP, you've got to look at your data and sort of think, right, something's not right here.
Am I really that good?
Yeah.
Really, am I that good?
Open rate.
Yeah. Just to pick up on a question that Danielle has put onto the chat. So, and by the way, anybody's got any questions, just fire them in. So just to pick up on that question. So it's talking about location matter when you're scheduling an email to a certain time zone. And the answer is no, because actually it's beyond that point. So when we're scheduling an email, you're picking a time to distribute that email based on what you know about that user. So when it's been received, it's too late. It's already been received. So the IP address transmission at that point doesn't matter. So it's out of the equation. All that would do is, there was some technology years ago that would basically, depending on where you opened it, would suggest your local store and things like that. To be honest with you, that was one of those situations for me where I thought, email's not about that. Email's not the meal, is it? Email's the click. Email's to get you to click and to get you to the clever technology. Technology from within an email client is designed to be simple, rudimentary. There's a reason why we use inline styling rather than CSS. We don't enable script and all the rest of it. There's a reason, and that's never going to change. So people have often thought, oh, well, is email tech going to get more sophisticated? No, it's not. It's got to be basic. It's got to be basic because you've not asked for that email to be sent to you. You might have opted in, but that doesn't give me carte blanche to send you whatever scripts I want on email. I've got to send a very basic, very simple flyer that gets my attention. So anyway, the point being, as Rory said, everybody's probably gone, wow, am I that good? Or is something different here? Quick show of hands, actually, from the participants. Has anybody noticed this in their stats? Anybody just fire in a Y or an N or a yes or put your hands up, even better.
Hands, yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah, good. Yeah, well, you are going to notice it. It's fact. So Litmus, I mean, we're jumping ahead a little bit, but Litmus recently said that it's 60% of all emails are accessible via an Apple device. Doesn't mean they're all being opened on an Apple device. But, I've got my Mac, I've got my iPhone, I've got my iPad, I've even got my Apple Watch. I may be opening it on my Mac, but it's accessible from this device. So up to 60% of our stats are going to be skewed. Now, before we go into this, this isn't a new thing. This is the thing, this is, Apple's move, but this isn't a new thing. We've all probably seen bot clicks in the past, right? We've all seen, when your email deliverability credibility is a little bit weak, a little bit dodgy, and you might have been doing a little bit of spamming, you'll get bot clicks. And bot clicks are essentially where the mail servers don't trust you, and they send out a bot to troll your links and say, there's no viruses, there's nothing suspect, and all that the content relates and connects to the email that's been sent. But if you imagine, that is designed to look like a human being, and that's what Microsoft and Google and all the mail servers have been doing for years. Now, it's then down to platforms like MailChimp, for example, who said, well, if we see a click, it's not possible to have clicked an email without opening it, so we'll forge an open. So what's been happening for years is marketeers have been faced with this unpleasant truth or a pleasant lie. Do we suppress those opens because they're not real? Do we hide them? Yes, we do. Yes, we should. But this isn't new. Our email open rates have been skewed, and our email click rates have been skewed for years.
It's interesting. We were talking about that, weren't we, Adam, before, about how these kind of things and these statistics haven't been completely accurate in a long time. Lots of different platforms are playing with the opens, the clicks, and we almost said, in a way, in a strange way, there's a lot of people panicking. There's a lot of people going, oh my God, this is my campaign results. I don't know, I do everything off these opens and clicks, but we were saying it's kind of, in a way, it's almost a blessing, because you shouldn't just be looking at opens and clicks.
Hell no.
You should be, we'll get more onto this in sort of further down the line in this webinar, but there's so many more ways you can look at campaigns and measure them, and much better ways as well than just open and clicks. And obviously we'll get onto that in a bit.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah. Totally agree. So, okay.
So I was going to say, what's the main effect, would you say, of this than the opens and clicks? Is it just all these people that are, just basing their campaign results off this? Because obviously now the opens and clicks, what does that exactly affect for the everyday marketer?
Yeah, so this is just for me. It's just how you look at it, and you've touched on it, Rory. It's like it's the reality of it is this is a shift that needed to happen for a long time. Marketeers have been placing way too much emphasis on what an open means. An open of an email or a click of an email doesn't really denote commercial intent, in my opinion. It's then what happens that denotes commercial intent. So, for me, email marketing stats have always just been a benchmark statistic. And you know what? The cool thing about this iOS update is that benchmark hasn't changed. It just is slightly less accurate than it has been before, but it's a benchmark nonetheless. And what it's there to do is give me that view of, was that good or bad? So I've got I've got a consistent skew. So if this was an inconsistent skew, it'd be really, really difficult to work with, but it's a consistent skew. So what I've just got to do is I've just got to establish what my new norm actually is. Now, another thing that it does is it says, and I've spoken about this for years. I hate A/B testing. I hate it. And I don't like it. So A/B testing, I've seen, again, for years, we were asked the question for a long time, does your platform do A/B testing? Yes, of course it does A/B testing. So I can send an email, right? And it takes the first 100 people and it'll send 50 of them this version, 50 of them this version. And whichever one gets the best results, it'll pick the best one and send it. No, it doesn't do that. Why? Well, because it doesn't work. What are you expecting to happen here? Firstly, you've got a statistical robustness aspect to this. You send one email. Some people might have just been to the toilet. Some people might just be having lunch. You can't rely on that. And the thing is, it takes time. And so what's happened now is the fact that if you're doing that kind of split testing, I'll talk to you about iterative testing in a moment and my views on the better way of doing it. But if you're doing split testing like that, you can't get the immediacy of the stats because all you'll be doing is playing to the Apple market share. Whichever segment of your data happen to have more Apple users in it is going to get an open rate. And then you're going to be, that was the best way to do things. No, it wasn't. We know that that's not true. So I don't like that. Another thing that it does is it affects the way that people use automation. Rightly so. Again, I've said to you already that opening clickable emails does not denote commercial intent. So it's very difficult for us to bind any sort of worthwhile activity off the back of an open and click. So what I always see when we, obviously being an automation platform, we've got a beautiful drag and drop journey builder, marketeers. What's cool about it, by the way, little brag here, 95% of all of our customers, of the 5,000, 6,000 marketeers that use our product, use our journey builder to send campaigns. That's awesome. That's amazing, because the biggest challenge that people like tech platforms like we've got is getting people to adopt new technology. And this is, I think, because of the free training and support. But anyway, by the by, the point is where I then say, oh, you've done really, really well. But what you did was you said, right, we'll send that email there. We'll wait 2 days. And we'll see after 2 days whether you opened or clicked that email. Like, no. Why? That's ridiculous, because actually what I wanted you to do for that email was sign up to this webinar. What happens if you opened it, clicked it, but didn't sign up to the webinar? Why would I stop there? So basing automated decisions on opens and clicks, in my opinion, has always been flawed. And it's been, granted, if I'm vending some sort of mandatory communication to you, Rory, you've just signed up for an account, and I need to make sure you've seen this information that says that you accept our GDPR compliance terms, blah, 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 blah. And I need to provide evidence of that. That's a problem for me now. I get that. And I understand why, you'd have used automation to say, oh, Rory's not looked at it, make sure we send it again. But in actual fact, that's not, most of the time marketeers that, they're not doing that kind of thing. And they should be basing those decisions on the commercial intent. Did they sign up for the webinar? Did they buy the product? Did they inquire? Did they download the brochure? Did they download the white paper? Blah, 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 blah. So none of that changes. And in my mind, this, all it does is goes to further reinforce the fact that move your focus away from opens and clicks into the world that matters.
Completely. I mean, we were talking before as well, like if you really want to see, and you want to look at that opens and clicks and that kind of, that measurement, a good measurement now would just be looking at unsubscribes. But like you say, I'd say that's probably a good way. If you think an email has really performed badly, you'll know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because they'll let you know through that. But so you still technically kind of got the feature there that you really need. It's just not in the detail. But like we were saying before, it's been, people have been playing around with the details and skewing the figures for a long time now, haven't they?
Yeah, exactly. And we've got a couple of questions in. I can't pronounce. I'm sorry, Mushant. I can't pronounce it. I'm sorry. I apologize. The question is, as email marketers, do you have any action plan against MPP, or do we really actually need one? No, that's the point. You don't need one. That's the point. Tech's not going to answer this for you, or it shouldn't do anyway, because all it's going to be doing is guessing. You could build an algorithm that looks at the time in which the email was sent, when it was opened, and the reality of it is, though, that again is a flawed methodology. What our genuine advice is, look, let's just embrace it, let's accept it, and let's just figure out how we report and how we follow up moving forwards. And that's really the way that I'd like to do it. Okay. I work for consulting with very niche marketing, logistics and supply chain, some personalized emails. Really low. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Is there what's the question there? Sorry, I've just got.
It's the bottom bit. Is there a better way to attract attention?
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Cool. So yeah. Okay. That's a really good point. So we're going to come onto some of this stuff in just a moment. But what you're doing there is you small number email marketing, small volume email marketing, absolutely fine. And what you're doing is you're saying that you are attaching a document you've attached 2 documents related to what we offer. I would say that is firstly not best practice. Sending mail attachments isn't best practice. Unfortunately, the way a mail attachment works is it's duplicated in the ether. So what that means is I send Rory an email now, Jeremy an email, who's sat next to me, and I send you both an email. It takes one item and duplicates it into 3. The one that I sent, the one that Rory received, and the one that Jeremy received. So if you're doing that with 2 attachments, you've actually just created more files. And so best practice email marketing says that, look, what you should do really is you should create landing pages or host that content where you can provide a link, and that link directs the user back up to the asset. Now, obviously, the way that we recommend doing that is that you host the file in our microsites function or a landing page function, and you build a very simple page that says, here, download the item right here. That way, you're sending the user to a page that they can open, which can then register that the user arrived through the web tracking, and it can then give them the ability to download it. So email marketers, please don't send attachments anyway in your mail. The mail servers hate it because you imagine that you're a mail server, you're Microsoft, you're processing 500 million emails a day, and somebody sends an attachment. Oh my God, the overhead, the horsepower in verifying, reading that attachment, making sure everything in it is legit. And then what you've got to do is deliver it into the user's inbox and store that for them whilst they wait to download it. It's their advice. So it's very much best practice. Send them to a link, send them to a page, let them download the content from that position. So that's a really important thing. And then
from that page as well, obviously you can track them, you can get their details. If you want to get a bit more information, you can lead it from there. If you've only got sort of email address, name, if you want to get a bit more number or a bit more info about them in that sort of value exchange on the actual page.
Yeah.
If that's your goal. Obviously.
Yeah, exactly. That's a very good point, Rory. So when you're opening it up in a PDF, you've only got you can't track a PDF. You don't know. You can't put script in it. One thing or another. You certainly can't put script in it because that will be blocked immediately as a security threat by most IT networks. So what you've got is that ability, as you say, Rory. Just you've got while you're here, you're downloading this stuff. Did you want to have a look around? So you've got wider opportunities there. Now we believe that marketers should be using landing pages, and part of our infrastructure is all about saying, look, you can build in landing pages really quickly. We say 15 minutes. So if it takes longer than 15 minutes to build a landing page, you're pushing up against the technology. You're not necessarily using it to its strengths, and that's where you need, as a marketer, need to adapt. So look, we talked about why it's bad for marketers. We get that. We get an inaccurate open rates, click scores. I, by the way, received an email the other day on my phone, and it said thanks for looking at our last email. We've sent you a little bit more information. And then I was just like, what the hell? What last email? So I went and searched through it. I hadn't opened it.
Yeah,
I hadn't opened it, unless they'd got it wrong, but that was an example of somebody that was wasting people's times. So we understand where we are. But look, recognize that this isn't necessarily a new thing. Marketeers have probably been facing this through platforms for a long time. It's not appropriate to suppress these activities because you can't. You just end up catching good ones potentially. Yeah. It's appropriate to shift our focus. That's essentially where we're going at the moment. Okay.
Yeah. Cool. So we kind of brushed on it a bit before, but I think now we actually get right down into it and say, so like, what should we do now then? So what is the plan of action against this? Obviously, clicks and opens aren't the way forward. What is the way forward?
Okay. So firstly, it's recognizing that, just let's break a further distinction actually. So in the press, there's been a lot of noise about tracking cookies, and let's just draw a really clear distinction here for everybody. So you have first-party tracking cookies and you have third-party tracking cookies. I don't know if second-party tracking cookies exist. I don't know. Maybe we missed that for a reason. I don't know why. So you have first-party and third-party tracking cookies. Third-party tracking cookies, think of it like CCTV, okay? And I'll get onto why this is important in a moment. So think of it as like CCTV. Imagine you're walking down the high street and you've got a third-party tracking cookie, CCTV camera, watching you as you walk down the high street. You then walk into a store and all of a sudden that CCTV camera pops its head round and starts watching you as you go through that store. Everything you pick up, it's reporting back to head office. Everything you look at, it's reporting back to head office. Out you go from that store into another store. And it's following you all the way around wherever you go. And that's third party. So that's Google, that's Facebook. These are the cookies that the industry is saying, look, is it right? Should we be doing that? And so, but here's the difference. First party tracking cookies are yours. So this is your CCTV, and nobody anywhere in the world is saying you shouldn't have CCTV in your store. So as you walk into that shop, CCTV picks you up. I'm cool with that. I walked into the shop. It's your shop. It's full of your stuff. I'm cool with that. I'm all right with it. So I walk around, I pick up some stuff, I put it down, and that retailer gets the benefit of that information. And that's sort of an accepted value exchange. You're giving me on the shelves nice and neatly, nice and easy for me to understand. And I'm saying it's cool if you have a look at what I'm doing here. So first party tracking cookies are a massive ally in this move to combat iOS 15. Why? Okay. So first party tracking cookies are when you buy a product like Force 24, we drop a first-party tracking cookie on your website. So it won't track you outside of your store, outside of your top-level web address, your top-level domain. So, you might have two businesses. It doesn't matter. You can't track them as they go from one to the other with the first, but you need two separate first-party tracking cookies. So we give you a little bit of script, drop it on the page. And what that does is it allows you to report on everybody and what they're visiting. And we connect that to an offline record. So we say, look, okay, this is Rory. How do we know it's Rory? Well, he's been before and he filled in a form, or he clicked an email, or he clicked an SMS, or something like that. So we know it's Rory, and every time he comes back, we know it's Rory. And that is a very, very powerful ally, because not only do we collect that information of what Rory's looking at and how he's engaging, we have the right to do so. But when we see those opens and clicks coming from an iOS device, they leave no footprint in that web tracking module. They're not able to so in order for a bot to pick up a web signature or store cookies, they need a local storage, and they don't have that. So these cookies, basically, they arrive at they open the email, these cookies, these bots, they open the email, they click the email, and then they vanish, they evaporate, gone. And so we can identify those that are real and those that aren't at a web level. So when I go back to that example about the example in the chat, getting that web engagement is critical now. I want you off the email into the website where I can verify you're a human being. I can do all sorts of checks, like check you've got a screen resolution, check you've got a mouse that's moving around, and all these sort of things enable us to verify you're real. And then we base our decisions on that. So all of that information stored, and that's what you make your automated decisions on. That's how you determine whether somebody's engaged or not.
Yeah.
Makes sense?
At the end of the day, like if someone's opening an email, you've no idea, you know, have they read the email? Have they just opened it? You know, they might have just opened it, gone off somewhere to make a cup of tea. You've absolutely no idea of the engagement. Whereas, like you say, if you go to with your first party cookies, if you know they've browsed around on the website, you know they've spent time on this page, they've gone to this page. Oh, okay, they're clearly interested in this. You have just so much more advanced detail, don't you?
Absolutely. I mean, for me, when obviously I didn't really introduce myself, but for those of you who know me, that I'm the CEO and original founder of Force 24. And in 2009, when we started specifying what Force 24 actually was going to be, email was just like one of the things it would do. And same with SMS. And it was all about stitching that browser behavior to an offline CRM record. And that was the original vision. It was like, okay, email's part of the value chain somewhere, but you know, actually the bit that really matters is about marketeers being able to build tight segments based on the people that are engaging and how they're engaging. But look, just to finish this is, you know, the final part is just to note that this is a consistent skew. What we're not saying is stop looking at email stats. We're not, because it's all about giving that, you know, if you do a bad campaign, the numbers will be lower, but they just don't look like the numbers you were getting before September 2021. So a bad campaign now is an absolutely kick-ass campaign in August last year, right? So it's just about, look, any sort of comparative metrics that you've got over. So, I mean, really, to be honest with you, I mean, they say September 2021, but I didn't actually upgrade my device until about Christmas.
Yeah.
And that's not because, you know, I'm like, you know, I have any policy that I don't do this. I'm just lazy and I forgot to do it. So, you know, the reality of it is it's this year that actually that consistent skew is really, really kicking in.
Yeah.
So just don't stress about it. Just don't compare to levels. That's the most important thing.
Just a question from my part, actually. Do you know if it's automatically turned on as soon as it's updated? It's automatically on every single device, so it's not a case of people will have to go in and click it.
Correct. It's opt out. It's opt out.
It's
so
opt
again,
out.
you know, this is the thing. You know, Apple have essentially said, you know, this is your choice.
Yeah.
But it's not, because you've turned it on.
Yeah. So most people probably don't even know that they've got this on.
And who can be asked to turn it off?
Yeah.
I mean, I've not turned it off, and, you know, we're in the industry, and, you know, so there's a weird part of me that's sort of like, well, I don't like, you know, I kind of like to be tracked because, you know, I don't do anything wrong. And I kind of like it when advertisers can optimize their budget and really laser beam in on me, but I'm also not going to turn it off.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it is what it is. No. Okay. So what should you do then? That's the question. So we've already talked about the fact that the results aren't going to look the same. Okay, fairly easy. We've also talked about the new benchmark. We need to establish a new benchmark. One of the things you mentioned was the unsubscribe rate, Rory.
Yeah.
So that's a good way, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. You can definitely tell from certain campaigns, like you say, because at the minute I've found, like you say, in the last few months or so, they've been a bit all over the place, and I don't know what's good, what's bad, because, like you say, the opens are completely up, and then sometimes they're down. Like you say, it's just all based on how many Apple devices are in that segment that we targeted. So it's a bit like the A/B testing you were saying before. It was, you know, it's now like, how many Apple devices am I sending to?
So what we're saying there is that unsubscribe. So the bots can't unsubscribe you. That's one thing that they won't do. You know, there was some a while ago that we have a function in our platform, and I know MailChimp do it as well. It's the one-click unsubscribe function in the account. So if you've got bad deliverability, you turn on this one-click unsubscribe, and it allows the bots to unsubscribe you as they trawl the links. But I think Apple have said that they're not going to follow those links. So when you're getting unsubscribes, they are legit unsubscribes. That's the thing to note here, isn't it? So that's probably a nod to quality of deliverability. You know, if the content's really bad, you might get a high unsubscribe rate. If you get it in the inbox, it's probably quite healthy to get an unsubscribe, right? I don't mind it. I think, you know, people aren't. It's healthy. It's just normal. But you know that it's a new tool in your arsenal to understand whether you're getting an excessive number of unsubscribes. That was a bad campaign.
Yeah.
So okay, but then let's look at the new marketing metrics. So I think we've spoken about the first party tracking cookies. For me, it's all about what comes out of the email. And I always talk about this audience engagement audience segment evolution reporting. That sounds so geeky. But audience evolutions, I can't even say it. Audience segment evolution reporting is essentially where we stop looking so much at the individual campaigns and we start focusing on the evolution of the segment. So I should, as a marketeer, be segmenting my data. We know that. And what I should also be doing is building lots and lots of tight segments based around engagement. And if any of you have been to my masterclasses, we talk about how we build those segments, not just butcher, baker, candlestick maker, but we build them on, you got butchers that open your emails, butchers that don't open your emails. You got butchers that click on your emails. You got butchers that visit your website, butchers that request a brochure, butchers, blah, 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 blah. And so you get this massive vertical column of butchers. And what I should be doing is saying, look, the campaigns that go to these individuals are, okay, I've got to check on those stats, but I actually need to be looking tightly at that segment. And is the number in that stage of the funnel growing? Is it reducing? So in the same way that the sales team do it, the sales have a funnel, don't they? And it starts at the top and then they work their way through and you get this funnel that says 100 people go in, 3 people come out, whatever it may be. And so the same from a marketing perspective, if we can look at, okay, I've got my audience, which is my core audience. This is my engaged audience on top of that. These are the ones that are currently engaging with me right now. So they are engaging with our web content. They're downloading stuff. They're attending webinars, blah, blah, blah. That's that audience there. Okay. How many have you got? Well, I've got 5,650. Brilliant. Tomorrow, how many have you got? Well, I've got 6,250. Well, that's great. So something worked. Something in that campaign worked. And then in addition to that, we always say that, I always harp on about lead scoring. And lead scoring for me is like, it's the thing that marketeers, whether you're B2B, B2C, doesn't matter, need to embrace the most. So lead scoring is all about saying, look, and by the way, you've got engagement scoring, you've got lead scoring. I always call it lead scoring because there is only one for me. Lead scoring for me is essentially engagement scoring. It's what have they done and how are their actions being quantified in numbers? They visited that page of the website. Well, that's just a blog page. Well, we're not giving very many points for that. Oh, they visited that page and that's a get a quote page. Whoa, give them loads of points for that. And so these points add up and then over time they diminish. And so what we did a while ago is we said, look, in part of our lead scoring methodologies, we're going to back away from putting too much emphasis on email opens and email clicks as a scoring metric. So what we did is we said, look, you'll get no points if you open an email because we don't care. We of course we care. You'll get no points if you click an email because again, we don't care. What we will give you points for is if you go to that content download page, cool, you're here. You then download it, we'll give you some more points. And then you go to our pricing page and start playing with our sliders to find out how much it's going to cost you. Points, ding, 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 ding. And so that means that every single contact in your database has got points on them. Awesome. So I've got my 6,000 engaged contacts. Brilliant. What's the average lead score of everybody in that 6,000 engaged contacts? Well, it's 40 points for argument's sake. Cool. Tomorrow, what's the average lead score of everybody in that data segment? 50 points. Awesome. So not only have you grown that segment, but you've increased the engagement of that segment. That is where you're looking. And then there might be 10 campaigns that have gone to different people, different times, different whatever. And you're looking at how the overall picture is getting better. Yeah. And so that's the acid test, isn't it, Rory? I think this is something we've been doing for a lot of years now.
And again, you can weight this to exactly what you want. So you can say it's to what's most important to you. Like you say, if your pricing page is the biggest thing on your website, that's so much more important than just an email open or an email click. Totally. People can click and then just come straight off it. Whereas someone's visiting your pricing page and they've obviously visited it a few times. You can see, okay, right, this is really important. And that's so much more important than just looking at an open rate or a click rate and going, oh, they're clearly engaged. Because like you say, at the end of the day, we want to know, okay, what's the bigger picture here? That's a tiny percentage of what's going on with your audience. And you want the bigger picture. You want to see, okay, where they're going from there.
I absolutely. So what you're basically saying there is you're tracking and quantifying true commercial intent. Now, it's always difficult on these webinars to try to, obviously we work in our product all day, every day. We know it, everybody, and we want all of you guys to work in our product every single day. Of course we do. But it's difficult when, you're maybe using, I don't know, HubSpot, you might be using Pardot, you might be using MailChimp, who knows what you're using. But you've got to really figure out what within your tool set you're going to use to do these things. We're saying that essentially you've got to quantify and measure commercial intent, and you quantify it and you measure it over time. And what you're doing in your marketing department is lifting it or reducing it. And you're taking the emphasis away from the opens and clicks, and you're checking what they're doing on the website. So you've got to have those tools in your tool chest if you're going to overcome these problems. Now, obviously, we're on a webinar talking about this because we believe we've got this nailed. And that's obviously, we're here to pitch, but also educate. And that's what we do. So make sure you can do this. And cost isn't a thing anymore. Cost is not a thing. When a marketer says to me, well, we haven't got the time and we ain't got the budget. Well, you ain't got the time for obvious reasons. You ain't got the budget because you're not allocating the budget effectively. MailChimp, for example, I'm not picking on MailChimp. I love MailChimp. They give us so many clients. Sorry. No, I love MailChimp. It's a great product. What was it? What was their valuation? They got an insane valuation, didn't they? Was it like 3 billion or something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
It was eye-watering. Good on you, MailChimp. You've done a blooming good job. Well done. Great. And an insanely powerful product for a very, very low price point. However, what they do fail to deliver is the fact that 10 billion? Was it really? Jeez Louise. Nice.
Crazy.
Okay. So the point is that what they do is they put the onus back on the marketeer to do all of the legwork.
Yeah.
And what's the average marketeer salary? You take that into account. All of a sudden, the 300 quid that you're paying a month, or the 50 quid a month, or whatever it is that you're paying a month for MailChimp, plus your salary, that's the burden. And we always talk about it's 8 hours a week saving minimum. That's for a one-man marketing team. So those 8 hours, that's how you build your budget case. And it's that we've all seen that analogy of the machine gun salesman tapping on the shoulder of the guy with the bow and arrow fighting a war. And he says, go away, I'm too busy. And it's like, yeah, that's kind of where we see marketers at the moment. Anyway, there's one more part that I want to talk about. We've actually covered quite a lot of this stuff, really, to be fair. We're doing really well. Cool. There's one more thing that I want to talk about. And this is the next challenge that you guys are facing right now. And this is about data sovereignty. I think the UK is falling a little bit behind in this particular piece. And just to bring you up to date, we did a podcast on this the other day, and we're releasing our podcast pretty soon. So you'll be able to download that on demand soon. And we had an interview with a pretty important guy when it comes down to the GDPR. And he was talking about the Cloud Act. So Rory, have you heard of the Cloud Act?
No, I don't think I.
Jeremy, you heard of the Cloud Act?
Only from listening to the podcast.
Of course you have.
There you
of course. Nobody's heard of the Cloud Act. What the heck's the Cloud Act? And the Cloud Act basically says that, we know that it's illegal. Let's be clear about this. It is illegal to ship your data, which contains the information of European and UK citizens, to North America. Well, it actually is outside the European Economic Area. It's illegal for you to do that without standard contractual model clause, which have now been debunked. So that you can't rely on those. And so what these businesses did was they said, "Oh no, it's cool. It's cool because we've got a server in Europe." But actually, most of them didn't. Most of them didn't bother. They just relied on marketers not understanding the law. And so what a lot of them did was they said, "No, it's cool. We've got a server in Europe." So then Donald Trump, in his infinite wisdom and in conjunction with the FBI, said, we're going to create the Cloud Act. And the Cloud Act actually stands for something, which is consumer data located outside of USA jurisdiction or something like that. And it's not that, but it's something like that. And it says, look, if you're a company that holds data, and you're based in North America, like HubSpot, like MailChimp, like all these guys, and you're creating European servers to hold this data, the Cloud Act is there to say, we have access to it. If you're clarifying, Laurel, overseas use data act. Oh, well done. Thank you very much for that. Well done. So the Cloud Act basically says you're a North American business, and you think you can get round our BDIs by holding that data in Europe, right? Essentially. And the answer to that is yes, we thought so. Well, not anymore, because the Cloud Act now says that there is a legal requirement for them to share with the FBI, which again means that working with those providers, holding that data in European servers, the Cloud Act basically means that the EU at the moment have got a big problem with North American businesses that hold EU consumer data. And you might have heard that Austria has now banned the use of Google Analytics. Banned it, which is a blow, but it's great because it means it. You know what? Where I'm going with this is the fact that this is just another one of the wars that marketeers are facing right now, and it's where are you going to go? What are you going to do? You're about to re-sign a new agreement with HubSpot. Well, what happens if in the next 3 months, as predicted, the European Union are going to put their foot down and they're going to say, right, okay, no more. We're not standing for this anymore. It's been illegal for a while. We're going to start imposing fines on this now. You guys know the score. What are we going to do? And it's not their problem. It's our problem. And actually, obviously this plays into our hands beautifully because we're UK based. Our server's based in the UK. Everything's in the UK, totally safe and sound. But this is just, again, I'm just talking about things that are affecting marketeers. And that's the whole point of these webinars. It's about, these are the things that are affecting you right now. And I think that you're facing a potential storm. Things are going to get quite interesting from a data point of view. I'm monologuing. I'll shut up. Daniela liked it. She got it. She went and Googled it for me.
Got the clarifying. There you go. Lawful overseas. Yeah, a few acronyms that have just come off the tongue there, haven't they? And
yeah.
Need to brush up.
Yeah. So listen, I think Rory, is there anything that you need to add on to the end of this? I mean,
I think we've pretty much covered it really. Like we say, the main thing that we use and that I use obviously. Well, we use Force 24 in our marketing department, and obviously that way we don't look at the opens and clicks much. We look at, like Adam was saying before, that lead scoring data and the average sort of data over time, and you can see how many people are in a certain segment, how many people are is it growing, is it going down? And if I launch a campaign, I know straight away I put that detail in and I go, right, okay, how many people had this lead score over time, how many people dropped out of this group, what was their score, did it go up or down over time? And that way I can see they're so much more engaged. And if I want to go really down into detail, I can really break it up and say, okay, how many of those people that I sent the campaign to went to the pricing page? How many people downloaded this guide? How many people did all this information? And that's it's just so much more valuable than just an open or click.
I know, and I in my masterclasses talk about this. That average engagement, average lead score engagement, I think is an awesome thing to show. It's a chart. I can't show you it right now, but unfortunately, it's basically when you take a segment of people and it tabulates that average lead score engagement.
Yeah.
What it demonstrates is the line isn't straight. And hold on, think about that for a moment. So when I'm monitoring my opens and my clicks, the audience's engagement isn't a consistent. Sometimes they're more engaged, sometimes they're less engaged. So it stands to reason that my open rates are naturally being skewed by that audience's engagement. Anyway, middle of the school holidays, those people that were massively engaged in February, March, April, May, they're now not engaged because they've got kids to look after. And so I'm going to get a different response to my open rates. But we don't think about that. We do think that they might be on holiday. Yeah, whatever. But there's hundreds of different factors. And using that average lead score engagement is very much about saying, here's my barometer. It's pretty hot out there today. Let's go and get some more leads in the door. Let's go and talk to them about things that matter to them. Listen, I think we've consumed about enough of your time. But before you go, we've got an idea. Rory, would you mind bringing up the slide?
Yeah. So, well, first of all, I was just going to say we've got we're hosting a group sort of webinar pretty similar to what we've got now, but it'll just be Adam hosting. He's just going to run guys through like the features of the Force 24 platform. If you're interested, he'll be taking questions. You can ask him anything you want. It'll just be a quick sort of 45 minutes showing off like the kind of advanced features and bits like that. Free for, you can just hop in, hop out, and a sort of nice, sort of relaxed environment. Obviously, if you want to go a bit more down into detail, we do one-to-one demos as well. So I'll just pop my screen up there, and you can scan the QR code. So everyone can see that.
Oh, is that the one-to-one? Oh, so okay. What we're going to do is what we're saying is basically, look, if you want to look at some of the things specifically we've been talking about, I'm going to be doing this group demo. So it's not about being the laser beam on one person. It's about up to 10 people doing it on Friday at 2:00. Is it?
So yeah, we've got 2. We're just confirming the times. I believe it's this Friday. We've got 2. We're doing them. Yeah, Friday at 11 and Wednesday at 2. I believe are the 2 dates we've got. But if you are interested in that at all, just pop in the chat below. Just put a Y, and we'll get through to you and we'll get you booked in on one of those sessions.
Yeah.
And like you say, that's the group session. Obviously, if you want to have a more personalized demo and you want to see it specifically about your company, you can book a one-to-one demo there with the QR code.
Cool. So if anybody is just remotely curious about how technology can solve some of these problems and how you can shift your focus back onto the web tracking, how you can focus on the lead scoring, the audience segment evolution reporting, and see what that looks like, I'll be doing that demo. Take 35-40 minutes. It depends how engaged and how chatty people are, and very happy for you to jump on and jump off. So please, up for the group session, just put in a Y.
Put a Y. Yeah.
Y or
details from
and we'll get all the details and we'll do it. So we've got one. Come on, type some. Please don't let me sit there on my own. Please, just a Y in the chat. Let's just see if we can vote. It's next to the T, next to the U. Y in the chat. There you go. Well done, Tim. Legend.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. So go on. Yeah, here we come. That's much better. Thank you very much, guys. I feel a little bit more loved now.
There we go. And like you say, you get a chance with Adam as well. Pick his brains all on marketing automation, whether it's a marketing automation question or if it is something about the platform. That's your 45 minutes just to kind of talk about it. Obviously, we'll reach out to you just to double check the times work and stuff as well. You don't have to check your calendar. So if you just put it down preliminary for now, and then we can get you sort of signed in.
So these webinars are on demand, and anybody needs to read them, see them, watch them, whatever they can in the future. What's the next one, Rory?
Well, I've got it up on my screen, but I'll have to stop sharing. There you go. So the next one we've got up is the 12th of April. It's at 11 a.m. and it's how to successfully onboard marketing automation. Okay. That's the next one in the series. After that, we've then got Tuesday, the 3rd of May at 11 a.m. That's how to get budget sign off for marketing automation. Oh,
these are dry subjects, aren't they? Very, very dry.
We'll make them interesting.
We'll make them interesting. No, but we'll talk about all sorts of fun stuff.
Yeah, there'll be all sorts of, like you say, you can drop in questions. After that, we've got Tuesday, the 24th of May at 11 a.m. Where did all the leads go? A look at how the market has adapted over the past 18 months. And then following that, the final one in the series is Tuesday, the 14th of June at 11 a.m. again. Post-pandemic marketing recovery strategies.
Awesome. And those, because you've signed up for the webinar series, you'll get those in your inbox.
Yeah, you don't need to do anything. We'll just pop a reminder of when they are. And you guys, can just drop in.
Awesome. Brilliant. Well, look, and we've got our masterclass events. In fact, our website is being updated this week to show you our events calendar, because we're all about giving these events away, and it's all about making sure that we can share any insight that we possibly can, with a little bit of a drop of a pitch now and then. You got to forgive us that. You got to give us that opportunity now and again. Yeah. So thank you very much, guys. Really enjoyed it. Good to chat. Anybody needs anything, reach out to us directly. Any support, any questions, demos, whatever you need, please reach out. But lovely to see you all, and we'll hopefully see you on the next one.
That's great. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye now.